I did get an email from Melissa saying that she could not attend. Did you hear anything from Laura?
I did not, I can figure now.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally, I mean,
Okay.
if she can make it, I don't like to harass people, but I also like to make sure that people are aware. I'm gonna go ahead and for the person doing the filming, I'm gonna go ahead and, call our meeting to order. And I just wanna do some introductions, cause we have a new member, which is tremendously exciting. And let me get it right,
Okay.
it's Bob, right?
Bob, not Ed.
Not Ed.
My middle name is Robert, I've always used Robert,
Got
not
it,
Edward.
okay, got it, okay. Well, it's very nice of you to, join us. How did you hear about us? You were on the, you're on the.
I'm a
Hi, Laura.
library
Hi.
trustee, and
Yes.
somehow I got word of a vacancy on this committee, and it sounded like a interesting thing to be on. It's,
Great,
I don't know any more than that offhand, how I learned of it.
right, no, that's wonderful. So my name's, Sarah Lyon, and I'm the current chairperson of the board. This is Donna Shea, and she's our secretary. This is Bill Shea, he's our member right now. Bill was our former chairman, and then we had to reel him back in for one more year of duty. This is Laura Foley, she's one of our other newest members. This is Lori, and I'm looking at Lori.
Angle.
Angle.
Thank you, it's been a really
We
long
live in the
day.
same neighborhood. I'm over in Pinecrest also.
Oh, yes,
I'm the one that house burned down.
the house burnt down. I
Yes.
admire the new house very much, by the way. I've been
Oh,
by it
thank
many
you.
times while taking a walk, yeah.
We're getting close, we're getting closer.
Wow, that's
Beautiful.
wonderful.
Thank you.
No getting rid of the old house, but it's good to have a good replacement too, yeah.
It's nice to
Yeah.
have a new home, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
No, that's wonderful. So we have Lori here. Lori is our treasurer extraordinaire. Does amazing jobs with details. And then this is, Jonathan Brinker. Jonathan
Sure.
lives more over on my side of town. And, Jonathan is another one of our newer members. And I'm very excited to have all of our new members. It's very exciting. Do you wanna share anything about yourself or your interests?
I'm a retired professor at Massachusetts Community College, living in Pinecrest now for the past 17 years.
Wow.
I've always been interested in cultural things, music and poetry. I've been involved in a number of coffee houses over the years in Gardner, and I'm maintaining interest in those kinds of things. I have 3 granddaughters living in Hubbardston.
Oh, perfect, perfect,
Well,
that's
2 of them
great.
in college right now, but
Mhm.
so we're well established here in a sense.
Right,
Yeah.
oh, that's great. Yeah, I thought that prior to COVID that the Mount had, a lot of plays and things like that there.
Yeah,
It was pretty
yeah.
active.
I've been retired now for 15 years or
Mhm.
16. I'm not sure exactly how many years.
Lose count.
Yeah, I lose count a while.
Right, well, it's wonderful to have you, we really appreciate it. So that's calling it to order. I do have a special presentation for, our friends who go to Aruba. For some reason, a patient decided I needed this, and I
Oh,
said,
for
I
crying
know
out
who
loud.
really needs that.
Thank you.
So that's a very special, in
Oh,
honor
great,
of your
thank you.
service.
Oh, wow.
You get-
Thank you.
I was just,
That's really nice.
I was just proud to, remember to have it.
How about that?
As much as possible, Ed,
And I have to put you on.
we definitely communicate with each other through email, but communications that we have through email, can't be something that we would all have to agree on. It can be things like.
We can't
hey-
vote, basically. We
Right.
can't vote.
Right, yeah, sorry, I have this
And I have
climate
this.
Right, it has this, we have climate control that cannot be controlled. But so we definitely communicate, I can definitely update the team and things like that. But if it's anything that requires decision or voting, that cannot be done through email. It
Sure.
would have to be done through a formal meeting. So that's pretty much how we, communicate. I think some of us have each other's cell phones. We do some on cell phones and text, not too much, some, but we definitely do some. So I apologize on the agenda. I forgot to add minutes, and I forgot to also add, a financial update, so I just included those. So what I thought we would do is first go over the minutes from our last meeting, then do old business, and then look at finances, if everybody's okay with that. So we'll just review the minutes that were very nicely prepared by Donna. And the meetings are being taped. And so we welcomed our next newest member, Laura. We talked about the grant notification process, and Jonathan, did you ever hear anything back from Ed the Juggler, or that was pretty
No.
much it? Okay. We looked at.
Yes, I gotta backtrack it. Somebody did talk to me about getting in touch with him. I'll need to follow up my emails with that, but there was a,
Okay,
yeah.
Katie was in touch with
I think it
you,
was Katie.
Yeah, I think Katie was.
I'll
yeah.
find out more information on that, yeah.
Okay. And we talked about our finances. I did submit the annual report, which is much more kind of basic than you would expect. We talked about our contact with the Veteran Service Representative and the recent grantee event that we thought was a grantee event. I think it was a grantee event from the previous year, the African drumming at the grade school.
That was,
The-
that was ours. Oh, the drumming was this year.
No, the drumming that Melissa went to, that I posted pictures, was the one that was,
From 2022.
yes.
That was called an educational program.
Right, it was part of, I don't know what they call the parent-teacher organization at the.
Yes, the PTO.
The PTO.
Yeah.
So it was that one which I didn't know, and I wanna be completely respectful, but we do have some confusion about which African drumming is which going on right now. So we talked about that, and we also talked about the nature walk, which we thought was pretty successful. We talked about upcoming events, and we moved forward, with going ahead with the survey, which we did. That's pretty much where we were at. Lori, was there anything at that meeting that you wanted to ask about or clear up since you weren't able to be here?
I don't think so.
Okay, we missed you. Okay, so moving on, so I.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
One
please.
thing that did come up was I think Jonathan might have brought it up, I did go back and didn't watch the whole thing on tape, I watched some of it. A question about communication with the municipality over the finances. Because they're supposed to, in the list of, things that the Mass Cultural Council says that we have to accomplish, we're supposed to meet with, the treasurer and whatever. Kelly and I do that through email. She doesn't come into the town usually, so Kelly is the town accountant, and that information is just, it's not a meeting, it's just an email basically saying we're still on the same page or whatever. There should be, when somebody takes over the treasurer, just an introduction with Kelly and the new person, just so that she's aware of who's gonna now be sending her information.
Isn't she physically located in Florida?
And where?
Florida,
Kelly
wow.
is?
yeah,
Oh, I thought she was I thought she was in like
no,
Templeton.
Yeah, she was at the, was in the planning board last week. There was a meeting, she was up on the monitor there with a couple other folks.
okay, but not physically here.
No, it was a select
I
board
think she
meeting.
lives
and
in
they-
Florida.
Yes, and the planning board, I think, piggybacked on beginning of the meeting.
She moved? Cause she used to live in Templeton.
How long ago?
I don't know.
Okay,
Believe me, Paul and I are saying, was that 20 years ago? Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
I mean,
I got the impression that,
Okay.
cause anytime I've had to communicate with her, she has certain hours that she dedicates to Hubbardston and.
Yes,
yeah,
yep.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
I may be in error, but I don't believe she's
So that,
physically.
I think there was a
That's
question
part
about.
of the reason why you do it the way you do it.
Right, she still handles our stuff, she's just not on site is probably.
Well, I asked via email about that because the person over in Boston had inquired, hey, this deadline's coming up for this report. and that's what I forwarded on to you to, you know,
Was
ask
that
about
last
it.
year sometime?
No, it was, I'll go back, on the emails, but it was.
There's one report we get from the town accountant, it's
Yep.
that we do more towards the end of the year.
Correct.
And it's the beginning of, the annual report, it's the very start of filling out the Mass Cultural Council's annual report. And it's just an accounting, well, we can go over that later,
Yeah.
we should move forward. That was the only thing that came up, I was
No,
just.
it was another report that the state was asking for, and I just
Oh.
inquired about, I'll
I
find it.
think I remember what it was. You were asking whether our town was in communication with the Mass Cultural Council so that we could get the grant monies allocated to us.
Yes.
That, I did call the town on that, and I did talk to Kelly, and that, I probably talked to the town instead. That paperwork had been signed and had been sent over.
Okay.
So I did follow up on that.
Yep.
Right. That has to happen, I think, every single year to make sure that our town is still accepting the grant dollars that they're going to receive and that everything's set up and whatever, so, sorry.
No worries.
That is,
And just in terms of town staff, there is a new, town clerk, and her name is Candace. She's very good, she has a background, I believe she maybe was the assistant town clerk in Rutland. So she comes to this with good experience, so that's who people would be reaching out to if you needed to reach out to someone in the town. So I would move that we accept our minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
And all in favor?
I'll second that motion.
Second. All in
So the
favor?
minutes are accepted as written, thank you. I might get that right at some point.
Bob's rules of order.
So I was just gonna go over old business. We're doing well with new volunteers. I didn't know if, we had talked before about reaching out through the schools or doing something at the fair. I think at this point, as of July 1st, you would have 4 members, which is not bad. I think you need to have 5, but moving forward, having 4 is not too bad.
I still have my eyes on the school district. I've
Uh-huh.
yet to fill out that task.
Do you think you have some feelers?
I don't have any feelers, but I do plan on sending out a bulletin through the center school
Okay.
to the parents.
Yeah.
So how many are gone from this committee as of the
Were we-
summer?
are gone?
How many are gone?
How many are gone?
Lori, Bill, Donna, and myself.
4? What's the quorum, 5?
5.
Quorum,
Yeah.
no, quorum
I think,
is.
It's 5.
well, it's
Okay.
weird because I think
Thought
for
it
a
was 3.
meeting,
It
a
would be,
quorum is
yeah.
actually like
It has to be
3. I
five.
think when you get
Right.
to the grants, then you need the 5.
We talked to Brace, I think
Right.
late last year about that question because we were short one person. That's when Bill had to come back and.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, so.
And we're mandated,
Yeah.
because we've served out the number of terms that they will allow us to serve. And I came back because there was a critical shortage.
Right. Now, I think it wouldn't be, if one of us wanted to continue, it's pretty likely that we could be reappointed. And like the town knows when our appointments are up, because like I and probably some of you got a notice from Tony Walker saying, your appointment's gonna be up soon, do you wanna be reappointed through the select board? I think any of us could be reappointed to be on the cultural council again for another term in I think it's called Safe Harbor, to keep your numbers if you have difficulty recruiting. But all of us would have to stay. If we are not reappointed, we per the Mass Cultural Council, we cannot continue. I don't think the town is too worried about it. I think they're fine with us staying, but it's per the cultural council. That,
So there are 4 people on the outgoing list.
Yeah, when we started, when Lori, Bill, and Donna and I started, there was nobody. We all came in blind and brand new. I mean,
Well,
We
I'm
were
astonished.
fulfilling other people's terms for a year, right?
uh,
And then-
yeah, because everybody on the previous council termed out.
Yeah.
Termed out.
Yep, they were all
Okay.
gone,
Yeah.
and so we never even, all
Actually,
this-
there was one or two that just didn't come to meetings and
Oh,
we
yeah,
tried
I
to reach
remember
out to
there were
them.
these mystery people.
Yeah.
Right.
that-
So no one's elected here, we're all appointed.
Correct, you volunteer and it goes to the select board and the select board says, sure.
And the salary is commensurate with it.
With that as well.
I assume people were elected. Of course not. Look,
Oh,
I'm looking
no.
at ballots for years.
No, I
Now
think
never
the
saw
only
anybody on the
positions
ballot
in
for
town that are elected is select board and maybe planning board.
Well, library trustees are elected.
Oh, they're elected, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't had to make any signs for myself to put through anything. No, we're appointed.
Yeah.
So I don't, personally, I'm not terribly interested in canvassing at the fair in June for new members. I don't know how others feel about that.
I have found it to be wildly unsuccessful,
Okay.
because
Oh.
people go there to party and have a good time and be
Of
outside
course.
with their friends, and not to sign up for work.
No surprise there at all.
And I
But the
felt
time
like I
we
was
did it-
accosting people.
Yeah, time we did it, we got one. And that's what we needed at the time.
Yes,
We did get one.
Did that?
But
person-
that, I concur with, as long as Jonathan feels like he's got potential
The new board, the new
in the,
committee members.
in the hopper, then, you know, I think that we'd be okay with not doing the fair.
Right.
And finding alternative methods to finding
Yeah.
the extra people.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at on that. Laura, were you able to get into the Smart Simple website finally?
Yes.
Good, poor Laura, because you can explain it better, but the impression I got was because you had applied for a grant, she couldn't go in to the Smart Simple website the way that we were able to. It recognized
think
her
it's
as a
similar
different person.
That what happened to Katie Young, she
Mm.
she was ported to a different part of the system when she was trying to fill out a grant, and it just wasn't giving her the right information to be a grantee. And it was just a nightmare. We magically made it happen,
Yeah.
but
The system doesn't allow you to change your profile from grant requester to grant giver. And instead, I had to sign in as myself under a different email address. So now there are two
Ah.
Laura Foley's on the system concurrently. The
And-
good one
and-
and the evil one.
Well, and it was kind of like the response we got from our rep at the Cultural Council was kind of like, oh, oopsie. Could you do another email address?
And as deprivations go, that one's pretty mild. I'm not worried.
So we got it done. So Ed, we would, when we're done tonight, or Bob, I'm so sorry. Bob, we can, I have your official name and then,
Is
Do
it
you know
Robert
that
or
yet?
Bob?
Robert's a middle name. I go by the middle name. I
Okay.
always have all my life, yeah.
Okay.
Right. Got it, okay. If you want, I'm happy to walk you through the Cultural Council site, in terms of logging in, because you should request to be logged in with them so you can go on their computer site.
Okay.
It's not the world's most intuitive site by any stretch. But it's not terrifically important that you go on right now,
Okay.
but sometime in
At
the
some point
next-
you'll walk me through it, you say?
Sure, I can walk you through it and.
I think Jonathan's done it, walked people through, you walked Nancy through it, I think, at one point. I think you've helped others.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, but, there is a lot of pretty much all of the Mass Cultural Council is online. Like if someone wants to apply for a grant, it's online. Lori, a few years ago, walked it through with somebody and they used to be able to apply on paper or online, and then they made it all online.
It's a state program, so everything is central to Boston, and we're pretty much the ones that enact the program.
Yeah. So we can talk about that. I, with the help of my employee husband of the town, we did some updates to the town website for us, for the cultural council. So I made sure to get everybody's names right on there. Also, we found out that when I was trying to publicize the survey, the way that our site looks, if you're looking at it on a laptop, is completely different than if you're looking at it on a phone or tablet. And so made some adjustments to kind of like where things sit on the site, because when I did have the information about the survey posted on the electronic bulletin board, I wanted people to be able to try to get to it on the website of the town. But the town is very open to working with you. And I learned pretty much how you go to the electronic bulletin board. You get in touch with Tony Walker. They have rules and regulations, understandably, about the bulletin board, but you give them the information about when you want something to run, and then they will go ahead and do it. I actually found it to be pretty easy. I don't think we got a lick of business out of the being on the electronic bulletin board, but I always feel that more just public awareness of us is helpful, whether or not people, you know, decided to go on to the website or not. But public awareness of, oh, there's a cultural council, I thought was important, so we did that. The African drumming programs, so there was one that Melissa sent us pictures to that was at the grade school, and that was a grant through the PTO at the grade school, so that had nothing to do with the library, and it wasn't the local group here that had requested a small grant from us, so it wasn't them. But we clarified that. There's one, or maybe it's just happened, upcoming at the library, and I did clarify with Chris at the library. I said, is that ours? And she said, no, that one's not yours either. The one at the library that's upcoming is an adult program. The African drumming one that we've supported with a small grant is a children's program. And I don't know if that's gonna be occurring at the library. My guess is it's pretty likely that it might be. But it has gotten a little bit confusing. There's different African drumming associations who are appearing in town, and it's gotten a little confusing, and I felt like maybe I misrepresented people on Facebook, but we're doing the best we can. Veterans service update, service rep update, I'm going to plead, I have not been able to follow up on that. Bob, we've awarded a grant, this is the second year we've awarded a grant to a veterans program, that, does, like, they work with veterans at a variety of locations. It comes out of Air, it comes out of Devon's, and they do like a large scale kind of craft thing. They build flags and things like that. And we've supported the program twice. And we've been looking for a way to create more of an awareness for our veterans in town and in the surrounding area, to let them know that this is available. But I haven't had success with my one outreach email to the veteran service rep. So I'm trying.
What's involved about flags? You mentioned flags in some context.
Yes, they build flags, I think kind of out of like
Yeah.
wood pallets or something like that. I'm not sure if they're building them out of pallets or like fencing, but it's a flag project that they do, and they come in and get the support of the team and create a project of things.
The problem with that was we found out later there was only one person, one veteran from town that actually went to the program, so we kinda had a little bit of an issue with that. We'd like to see more of the local veterans attend.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so we do have and Bill and some others are far more familiar with how this works. We do have a veteran service rep in town, and I did send her an email to say, how can we let our veterans know about this? And I did not hear a response back, and I did check with the town clerk, and she said, no, that's the way to get in touch with this person. So, and I don't know whether the outreach group itself has like a mailing list of veterans in the area or something, that they're doing some outreach on their own.
How much money was involved in
$400 or $500
Yeah,
ish.
wasn't a lot of bang for the buck for Hubbardston.
Right, I mean, they were very responsive when we reached out to them when they requested another grant. We said, we see you've requested another grant. What happened last year? And they were pretty responsive to hearing back from us. They got back to us, very politely and said, we did this and that. But again, we'd like to see more of a buy-in for our veterans.
it? Absolutely, sure, yeah.
So, I guess it's a little bit of a TBD on that. We'll perhaps, I may be able to try to give this person a call. I just had a couple outstandingly busy weeks here.
Just an aside,
400?
the 400.
400.
460.
That was last year. 464, this year's 400.
Okay, right. And they asked for quite a bit more, right? They asked for more, like, I think $1,000. Definitely 464 was not what they asked. I think they asked for more.
Who is the they? Is that a local organization?
It's an organization that's based out of Devon's. It's a veterans outreach group.
How are we involved at all in that particular group? I mean, what's
They applied for a grant
to us?
to a number of area cultural councils. Some grantees only apply to a certain town. Some grantees will apply to many in a geographic region. So sometimes we'll get the same grant request that like Barry will get, Rutland will get, Holden will get, things like that.
So when you apply, you go to the state website, and there's a portal you sign into, and then from there, when you submit, you can select where you apply to.
Well, I thought we limited to Hubbardston
When
organization.
we do grant one of the, and that's updated on the town website, when we award a grant, we do focus on bang for the buck, you know, how much is this gonna cost us? We have a limited amount of funds. Are they local? Is this something that would be of value to the town? Would it more affect our seniors? Would it more affect the little ones or more families and things like that? So we try to look at all of those factors and balance them out. And when we're making our final decisions in the fall, we definitely kind of go like, all right, do we have enough older people programs? Do we have enough little ones programs? And we definitely look for local. And sometimes it's very easy to do an award for us, because say it's not a lot of money and the person's local and it seems like a nice program. So like Laura's program that she was gonna do a couple years ago, it was local, there wasn't a lot of money involved, and she was gonna work with our seniors at the senior center. It sounded lovely. And that, I think we had about a hot minute of discussion on it.
How'd it work out?
Well, it
I
didn't.
got a full-time job and didn't have the energy anymore to
Right,
prepare and to teach.
right. But it was gonna be lovely, and we really like the idea, and maybe it'll happen again in the future. But that's some other programs we've also pretty much said, you know, right on through. There's an older gentleman who comes in and does a great job doing a music program at the senior center, and he's in Gardner, so he's local. He he's very sweet, he does a nice job, and he's pretty inexpensive. And
He'd do it for free.
he says he'd do it for
Dennis
free.
Conrad.
So he's also kind of a right on through.
And so to amplify what Sarah said, that's kind of the before and the during. But when any event takes place, we do our very best to have somebody from the council attend. So we can evaluate that and we give feedback to the rest of the council pertaining to that. And that has a definite bearing on the next year. Did we get that bang for our buck? So the fact that this particular program with the veterans only resulted in one Hubbardston veteran taking part in it, the next time around, we would take that into consideration. And we rely sometimes on the feedback we get from the grant that we've given the grant to, or it's our personal attention. So the fair and field day, a lot of our grantees do their performances there, or the library and occasionally the school. So because we're localites, we do our very best to attend and have that personal feedback that we provide to the groups. Yeah.
So there's a manual that comes out every year for each program year, and in there's a list of points that, you know, the applicant has to qualify for, and one of them is very specific of what is the impact on your community, and that's what we're talking about. So we actually had, what 28 applicants this last season?
Yeah,
Mhm.
26
And
to
there were
28.
some that were out in Fitchburg and Leominster that applied, and their activities had nothing to do with Hubbardston. So not to discredit their program, some of them were very good, but they didn't have impact on Hubbardston. So we, you know,
We made a change. So, and a lot of this, Bob, will come, a lot of it will start to kind of go, oh, okay, that's how you people work. It's, at first, it's a little bit to take in, but it's little pieces at a time. So it's kind of adding on and
Yeah.
adding on. So, more to come. Lori, if you could share some information about the finances where we're at?
Since we received recently, let's see, 3 reimbursements. One for the Hubbardston PTO for their African program, one from the Athol Historical Society for the Quabbin,
Quarterly.
Unique-
Yeah.
uniquely
They
qualified.
sent some copies too, if anybody hasn't seen, you probably have seen these, right?
Oh,
Haven't
did they
seen these.
send us some
They
copies?
sent us a couple of copies, the magazines
Oh,
are
it's beautiful.
they're beautiful. And the other reimbursement was for the Ware River Nature
Mhm.
Club. So, and with the Hubbardston PTO, they were the last grant we had for fiscal year '22.
Wow.
So we're now only have to pay people for this year. I mean, we haven't had that since COVID, everything has
Wow,
lingered.
that's tremendous.
So we're now at the
That's
point where we only are expecting grant reimbursement forms from current fiscal year groups, which makes it very nice.
is the state locking down then on that time period? Because like COVID, I remember you guys telling us that they had lifted that deadline.
Yeah. It's really loosey-goosey and
Okay.
really open, but
I think personally, I think it's gone away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I had read some, I was gonna bring it, maybe I didn't.
But if
I
a
did-
grantee has issues where they cannot perform,
Mm-hmm.
then under extenuating circumstances, I think there can be an extension
Right.
where they can perform it within a, reasonable amount of time. And, but we do have a prerogative to, vote on that, whether or not we can grant extension. But during COVID, it was
Yeah.
anything.
They
anything
didn't
went.
have to
Yeah.
perform to get the dollars, and the Cultural Council made it clear that they wanted to support the artists. Some people who don't make the most money around and were struggling, they wanted to support them.
Mhm.
And so we reached out and said, we know you haven't performed, are you planning on trying to perform? The dollars will be sent to you if you just wanna send in a reimbursement form. But I don't think that's, with all the loosening of guidelines, I do not think
That's gone away.
Yeah.
Give them grant money.
I would assume.
Just real quickly, I sent out a packet of what I put together. And one of the what I put in it are a listing of what's very nice is a listing of the grants that we have open for fiscal year 22, so you can see who we actually granted the dollars to. And I guess at this point, I'd like to ask a question. I mean, we are on target, and we're in balance. I create a treasurer's page that shows where a dollar started at the beginning of the month, ins and outs during the month, and where we ended up at the end of the month. I guess my question is, this has to be handed over. Somebody's got to become a treasurer, and we need to give.
Well, I think that's possibly a discussion towards the end.
Okay, that's fine, that's
Yeah,
fine.
'cause I wanted to,
Fine.
towards the end, talk about whether or not we need a meeting in June and transition and things like that.
That's fine with me. So right now, we have a balance of $6,855.10. 6,655 of that are for grants. 210 cents are for the dollars that we can apply to next year's grants because they're a carryover. One was the grant that we decided to negate so we can use those dollars in a future year. So we've got $200 there. We have the administrative expenses, which we haven't used any of. I know there was gonna be some printing going on or whatever.
How much is that, Laura?
We have $330 to use for advertising, printing, whatever. It's all in the same account. I just try to keep a track of them separately so that we know what can be used for what, and we don't overspend, and therefore don't have dollars missing when a grant comes due. That's basically where we are. If you have questions about what I supplied, but this isn't what somebody else has to do, so anyways, I'm done.
The attention to detail, when we started, I forget, were you the treasurer? No.
Megan was.
Right, Megan was, and then, there was money in funky places, and there was a lot of non-balancing.
There were years that rolled over where we didn't know what events had taken place, what we had paid, we just had no idea what represented the dollars in the town's accounts. And there was just a lot of footwork that she had to do to figure out who we owed money to, who had been, she got it straightened out, and we got on our way with a clean slate to move forward.
Yeah, no, it's tremendous work that you do. I would ask, I mean, as I said, I wanted to discuss it more towards the end, but if, in lieu of the end of your term, if someone can reach out to you if they have questions in the future.
Oh, definitely, oh my God, yes.
Okay.
It's just, right now, things are gonna start getting really busy, we're probably gonna be moving within the next month or so.
Great,
And so,
congratulations.
it's
That's a
gonna
good thing.
It's a good thing,
Finally.
hence, books that don't need to go to my new home.
Where would you like those? Are they gonna go in the file cabinet?
I don't know what to do with them. We're supposed to keep records, and before COVID, Donna and I and whoever, we'd always put the records in the cabinet for what was going on. The grants reimbursed, all the reporting, the minutes, the agendas. This is since COVID, and what,
Who have you had contact with the town?
about these?
No, yeah, in general, when you've inquired and needed advice from the town, who have you contacted?
Is it the town clerk or is it the board of selectmen?
Has it been the town clerk or has it been the town administrator?
I would usually go to Lori Reed with any question I ever
Okay.
had.
My advice was that you would contact the town administrator and seek out his advice as to where that would be filed.
But can I not have to take them home tonight?
No, I would say you could leave him, we'll leave him, and if you were to call him tomorrow, can you
Okay.
do that?
Yep.
Is there,
Nathan is very open to a policy.
There's not room, and I think it's supposed, well,
oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Pandora's box?
Right side, I believe.
The right side is
Oh,
fine.
yeah, I see it.
I know when Joyce Green was the town administrator,
Town
she,
clerk.
town clerk, I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
She was very clear about the fact that we had to have records on site, in town. So they need to go somewhere,
Okay, right.
it just hasn't.
I'm gonna put them on a chair back there, and if you'll let Nathan know that's where
Yep.
they are,
I will.
and tell him to make proper
It looks like
counting and filing, cause you
there
followed
could
it
be some
to a T.
Marie Kondoing up in there. That-
I think we only have that one drawer, I think.
Yeah,
Third
it's,
one
uh,
down.
Yeah,
you
I
had
think
pulled
that-
the drawer out last meeting, I think, yeah.
There was stuff in there from easily
yeah,
20
forever,
years
yeah.
ago when
Right,
we
there's
went through.
VHS tape.
Do we have a requirement for
What's
how
that?
much we have to keep in there?
I think there was, I think it's a 7-year,
Okay.
from what I recall. I don't remember if that was the town or the Mass Cultural Council. I think it was a town requirement, but,
So much is online that,
Laura, is that too much to ask for you to call?
oh, not at all.
Okay, good.
Not at all.
Then I would say that would
thank
be
you
the
for
protocol.
doing that.
Yep, that's,
Yeah,
that's a
no, we don't
no-brainer,
wanna-
that's easy.
Sarah, do you agree?
Oh, yes.
Protocol.
Yes, yes, I absolutely agree that that's the way to do it. And if there's more trouble with it, then you know, just let me know.
Okay.
You know, if I need to follow up on it or whatever we,
Yeah,
need to
I'll
do.
find out what he has to say
Scan it
and
all
we'll
in.
move from there. We don't know what he'll say.
Yeah.
I'll just make sure he was aware that there's very little.
OMG would probably be the.
maybe we could get it all scanned in and just leave them with the thumb drive. Here we are.
About to say we go old school with some CDs.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Microfilm.
Like I said, there's a VHS tape in there. So, thank you.
Microfilm.
Oh, there you go. Oh, my
Feet.
feet. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, that's gonna go well on the video. Grantee updates, I was out of town yesterday, did anyone have the opportunity to go to the music program yesterday? I know it was a really nice day, which didn't help.
Where was it held?
It was held at the elementary school. It sounded very nice, and he, Bob, one of the things that we also, it goes on the grant application is, how are you going to publicize your event? And most grantees kind of boilerplate it as local newspapers, this and that, and, or if you can help me, and we often, you know, if a grantee reaches out and says, you know, I could use your help, can you put this like on, we have a Facebook page and stuff, and that we can then share that to the Hubbardston People page. This nice young man, is his last name, his first name's Kelly, right? I think his first name is Kelly. I think his first name's Kelly. Anyway, he did reach out, very appropriately with questions about how to publicize. I did see him on the electronic bulletin board downtown, so he took care of that himself. He sent me a PDF, which was perfectly easy to pop up on our Facebook page. So it did get shared. It's a constant challenge in terms of where do you share things, or where do you inform people that an event is occurring? In the day and age of newspapers, it's really hard to to
That's
get-
my main source.
Well, that's great, no, that's wonderful, but it's pretty unusual these days.
I
I have
know.
grassroots feedback from yesterday.
Yes,
It was a tremendous success. There was
that's
great interaction between,
wonderful.
I think it's our group and the senior singers and the kids and so on and so forth. And I heard that it went really, really well.
That's
and,
wonderful, did you hear from someone who had
Uh,
gone?
Patty, one of my employees who attended.
Oh,
Yeah,
wonderful.
and then I talked to Claudia at a previous meeting, and she said it was a lot of fun. People were
Great.
dancing, and
Nice.
it was well attended, and the
Great.
choreography. She said, I don't know if they practiced beforehand, but you, Donna, were you part of that conversation today?
No.
Okay, and she said it was fun. So my sense is that with their participation, they organized it really well. And I'm not sure that anybody videotaped it, but that it will be on, one of the town videos, but that's grassroots.
Great, that's
One of my
great.
employees that
That's
attended,
great
so.
feedback. I was gonna reach out to him and just ask him
Yeah,
how
that's
he
good.
thought it
Yeah,
went
uh-huh.
and see if he had any pictures that we could share on our Facebook page. I was gonna ask him that and see if we could put that up. So I'll circle back with him and see how he thought it went. So we do, as much as possible, try to attend events if you can. And if you attend events, we try to approach the performers or who's ever doing it and say, I'm from the Cultural Council. And usually you get a really good, like, oh my gosh, that's great, I'm so glad you guys sponsored us, and things like that. So it's a good thing. There is an adult African drumming program coming up on Thursday, May 18th. This is not us. So, if you're interested in attending, but it is not a cultural council program that we're sponsoring. That's when I clarified that with Chris. The program that we're sponsoring is a children's one. The next one is a very popular program, which is the pastel drawing with Gregory Maycheck. When we go over the survey, he's actually mentioned by one or two people that they really look forward to that program every year. I don't know how the finances worked, because I believe he was requesting $600 from us, and I believe we gave him $300.
Yep.
So I don't know if Chris
I'm sure she
pulled
did.
together
She
the
did.
remainder. I'm not sure, I don't know. But I will, see if I can, also put up a post about his upcoming program. Although Chris is usually pretty good about putting things out front and things like that, but we are, sponsoring it, and I'm actually around that night. If I'm around that night, I might just swing by. It makes for really great pictures on the Facebook page because it's really colorful. You can get close and it's really colorful, so it's a good thing. Bill, you had said something about Dennis. You had sent an email about Dennis Cormier at the senior center?
He said he would let us know. He was gonna coordinate with Claudia Provincial,
Right,
and once they worked out a date that he'd let me know.
beautiful.
So let us know. So when I find out, either through Claudia or through Dennis,
Mhm.
I'll be sure that committee finds out about it,
Right.
council finds out about it.
And, sorry, Bob, to keep circling back to you, but I'm trying to keep you kind of where we're at. When a grantee has a program to present, it's generally upon them to reach out to the town entity where they wanna perform or have their event. So if someone's planning to do something at the, field day that's sponsored by the Lions Club, the grantee coordinates with the Lions Club. They don't coordinate with us.
Where is it?
They might ask us who to coordinate with, but they generally will coordinate with that entity. And if they need guidance in terms of who to coordinate with, we can, kind of point them in the right direction for that. So the survey, unfortunately, I'm looking at this big old screen here and realizing that I should have been using it. I do not know how to log into it, unfortunately. I should have asked someone in my household how to do that, but I did not. But so what I did was, and I can also send this to everybody. I unfortunately found out that color printing is really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So I did not print it all in color. So this is the one that's in color. And then I printed up, I made kind of a, two, kind of a contrast and compare on the survey to kind of say, this is how we surveyed in 2018, and this is how we surveyed this year. So there's some similarities, there's also some differences as well. Or if you guys wanna share the color one, that's fine too. But so, some of the questions are just straight from this year. But I tried to, cause the question becomes is, how is this different from the previous year?
Question, the figure of $6,600 this year, does that include grants here and there from state and so on, is that a lump sum?
That's the money that the state allocates to us. They say, we are allocating to you $6,600 to, spend on cultural programs.
And that's the sum amount of money we have per
Right.
year? No more than that?
We have out of those funds, we can use about, what is it, 10%?
5%.
5% for what we call administrative costs. So like photocopying, anything
Okay, yeah.
that you did on your own. But for Hubbardston gets that amount of money. I don't know if Jonathan could come, no, I think the town your mom's in, does she get about the same amount of money? Do they get about the same amount as we do?
No, they're, 14,000.
Right,
What
so,
town's
Dudley.
so if your town's bigger, you
Oh,
get
sure,
more
yeah.
money.
So they have a population around 11,000,
Right,
and they get
Okay,
a
yeah.
14,000,
right.
budget.
Do we have discretion over how that is spent? I mean, we have freedom to spend it the way we want to in terms of, okay.
Not really. We have to spend it on grants. But we make the decision in terms of which grants we will allocate.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yes, we do.
So last year, we had about $250 roughly of internal office type spending for like paper, surveys, Facebook, that sort of stuff. Admin, thank you. And then if someone on the council wishes to sponsor a program, we can do up to $2,000 of the pot for ourselves with proper documentation and votes and everything.
Okay.
And the rest will go to the grantees.
Right, so if we wanted to sponsor something on our own or have a thing, we could. But, the $6,600 minus $250, $300 is generally what we have to spend on grantees. And Jonathan notified, the Mass Cultural Council reviews this. This goes into an online worksheet, so they're looking at what you're spending, they know.
Is that money come from the Mass Cultural Council? Not tax funds in this town at all?
I think it's state taxes.
Yeah, I know, but
State
isn't,
taxes, yeah.
State taxes.
the Hubbardston town itself is
Isn't
not
it the lottery?
putting into the kitty here.
That is correct,
Okay,
it
yeah.
is not coming from the town.
Okay.
That is
No.
correct. No.
And if you want more information about how that money gets divvied from the towns, we'll have to go on the website or talk to our liaison to get more information
Right,
on that.
yeah, there's actually, I'll see if I can find them, there's some nice webinars that the Cultural Council has put together in terms of, welcome to being a Cultural Council member. They had a nice webinar that I watched
Okay, yeah.
last year that's helpful. But yes, no, this is, which is probably one of the reasons why, we have rules that other town committees don't have, because the town supports this, but this is kind of a little niche away from the town.
I get it.
And so when everybody's had a quick peruse through, and I apologize, the copies aren't the most tremendous thing in the world. And I'm more than happy to send out the copy. Yeah, it's not the best.
Good to see a popular demand for bandstand live performances. I think early on in the survey here, I think there's a
Saw that.
majority,
Right, yeah.
which
Yeah.
falls in line with what Katie was hoping to do.
Yeah, and I was, there's a lot of things to share on our Facebook page in the next month or so, because I would ideally like to put an update about the music program this past Sunday. I'd like to put up upcoming, that the pastel drawing is coming, the fair's coming up, but I would also like to, put up a couple of these slides on our Facebook page, just to say, you know, you took our survey,
Thanking people.
thanking people and saying, this is what we learned. But I just wanted to go through it, with everyone, and in terms of our numbers, I actually thought our numbers were ahead of where our numbers were in 2018, but actually we ended up surveying more people because we did live people at the fair. Lori and I canvassed people in the rain and we got it done, but we did about 40 people that we gave a paper survey to during the fair and said, do you wanna fill this out?
And then you data entered them all.
Yes, right, and then, but this was strictly online only. The town sent out an email. I also reached out to Claudia at the senior center, and I said if anybody, because I believe they have computer access in there, I said if anybody would be interested in doing this is how you get there. And she said, I will, and thank you very much. I don't know if any respondents were generated from there. I put it on our Facebook page twice, and Katie shared it, other entities in town shared it as well. And then I also put it on the board downtown. I don't think we really got any change in response after I put it on the board, but I thought, you know, I was trying to use all possible avenues outside of, accosting people on the street, to get it. And I don't know, Jonathan, your input about a survey that the town did about something else, that got less response.
Sorry.
So 90 people is what we've got. We are tasked by the state cultural council to get input from our town in terms of what the town would like to see. And they're vague as to when they'd like you to do it, but the last time we did it was 5 years ago.
I will say anecdotally speaking, there was one annual town meeting a few years ago where we had less than 50 people, so I think we did pretty good on the survey considering.
So 90 is what we have to work with here. So I thought that it was good. It's actually spot on compared to what we had in 2018 in terms of online, which is good. The first question, the awareness about the Cultural Council, which I've been trying to, build our awareness in town. I do think that has gone up. When we asked this question in 2018, we had, was it 37%, 38% were aware of the Cultural Council when we did this in 2018. And this past year, we were up to just about 49% had an awareness of the Cultural Council. So that's good. That's a change. It's not amazing, but it's a start. So I think that's good. If you were really into surveys, you could say, well, you self-selected your audience, so of course they're gonna be a little more aware of you, but doing the best we can. The
I
next.
would say sending it out through the town email is not
That's true.
self-selecting
That's
your
true,
audience.
yeah. No, and we got good response from that.
Do you have a way of telling where the response, no, you don't.
No, I
No, you
can
don't.
tell the time when a response came in, I can tell that it's date and time stamped, but I can't tell what source. I mean, like all surveys, the first day or two was very encouraging and then it went down. The events that people attended, was fairly similar to where people were at in the previous period of time. Well, the town celebration was the last time we did that, so that's a little bit different, but I kind of equated it to the Hubbardston Fair. So I asked people, you know, which events did you attend? And we had almost 50% of people said that they went to the fair. About 60% of people went to the field day. 7% attended at the library, 13 at the senior center, and then about 28% didn't attend anything. And that is actually reasonably consistent with where it was in 2018. It's not that different from where it was in 2018. So it doesn't look like COVID really changed our responses. And the survey was done post-COVID, so it's possible if we had done the survey last year or the year before, it would have been a very different set of answers. But I think the answers are fairly consistent. The comments, as always, are lovely.
Well, before we continue, about the questions, why is there no other
Um,
option?
there was an other option. That's just below it on page 2. It was other. Did you do anything else? And we did not attend any of these events last year. Someone did write COVID, meaning they didn't attend events because of COVID. And someone wrote that they went on the winter tracking walk, which was not identified.
Oh, I was wondering why other wasn't specified on the chart, which makes it look like there
Oh,
are
because
but
it
5
doesn't,
answers.
it doesn't work that way. It works differently. SurveyMonkey doesn't,
So it's a text, line of text, but it doesn't count statistically.
Correct, correct. It doesn't really count. So it gives people the opportunity to say what they opinionated on or what they wanted to add, but it doesn't, you have to kind of go to the different page to kind of spell that out. So I thought that was very different. And does anyone have any comments so far? I'm just kind of blasting through this.
Were there any surprises?
It's a
Sarah?
great question.
Yeah.
Not especially. No, there wasn't anything. Actually, I think the biggest surprise was how do you find out about programs in town? And the last time I did it, I think there was a lot of response of Facebook. And this time, the comments were more heavily towards email. So I don't know how, I have no sense of percentage of town residents have the town email blast system. And I don't know, I only use it for like, the cultural council has a survey, or the cultural council is looking for new, board members. I haven't used it for the cultural council is sponsoring this event. I don't know if the town would be okay with that. But that was one of the biggest surprises that I got. People wrote email. I got that a lot.
Was there anything in the survey that made you say we need to change what we're doing or how we do it?
The email one.
Okay.
That would be worthwhile following up with the town in terms of would they send out an email notification that says the cultural council is sponsoring a artistic musical performance at the school on Sunday afternoon,
That's a valid question, I think it should be asked.
right?
And why not take advantage of that if people are getting that blast? And
They're
that's number
definitely
one.
And they're
Getting it.
saying that that's how they learn about events,
Yeah,
and
Also be aware that there are different distribution lists within that blast. I
Oh,
know-
there
Oh, there
are?
are.
There are. Years ago, when my wife and I signed up, we choose different categories. I'm on the select board one,
What do you
so when the
wanna
select
hear
board
about?
call a meeting,
Yeah.
I'll get an email, but I don't get ones for the planning board or for the others, unless
there must be a general town
There's a
one.
general one.
there might be a general one as well. But just be
Because-
aware that if we ask to send out a message, there may be a general one that you're talking about, or we wanna be very specific, with general,
Get it out to the most people possible.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's-
Something interesting that I noticed about question 6 about finding out events. All of these things except for the electronic bulletin board, this is on page 7, skew toward parents, middle-aged people, and the elderly. And no teenager is gonna be looking at Facebook, reading a newspaper.
Nope.
So I'm thinking a big opportunity for next term would be Instagram.
Who uses Facebook anymore?
Nobody.
I
I put
do.
my stuff on there.
Well, it's,
Yeah.
I do both Instagram, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of it flows down
Yeah.
from Instagram into Facebook, and then I go see what's really on Instagram.
but there's a big opportunity to catch a younger crowd.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
And
absolutely.
literally, having worked with Laura in the past on a number of, at least one other committee, part of her expertise is in fact public relations. So I think as a member of the council in the future, to have Laura do that would be beneficial, because she
Or
does
take
it
direction
second
from
nature.
her as opposed to doing.
Right.
Right? You can do it second nature.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think, we were actually the first town entity that asked if we could be on Facebook. And they actually, we had to sit in front of the select board. It was very brief, but we sat in front of the select board and explained why
Fire
we
away.
wanted to do this. And I think it may have even been based on the survey. No, I don't think it was, but we did that, and they actually wrote a,
Procedure or something from
they
it.
did, they wrote out how this was, and what I don't know is, would that also cover Instagram? Does it cover all social media? I don't know.
The good thing about Facebook and Instagram is that they're both under Meta. So
Right.
if you have a Facebook account, you also have an Instagram account.
Mhm.
And you can schedule the posts in such a way so that they go out to both things at the same time. You can schedule posts ahead of time, you can fill in a whole bunch of ones so you don't have to be at it every day. You can
Mhm.
also add things that go out to either or both.
Mhm.
And there's, and it's not that much additional work.
Right, yeah, no,
Barely any additional work.
it sounds wonderful, and like Lori, I am more than happy to turn it over.
No, well, my question would be, and you probably know this way better than I would, how do you attract your audience to that Instagram? Cause I think we don't have a good way of getting people to the Facebook, so getting the audience for Instagram, is that something that's difficult to do, or?
It's, building an audience is tough anyway. And especially since we're all fogies and I have teenage sons, so I can get them to post stickers all over town with our handle on it. But marketing is weird. You probably have figured this out. It's a lot of alchemy, it's a lot of luck. You have to put out so many, what they call, touches, so
Mhm.
like an email blast, Facebook post, Instagram post, postcard, flyer, and an electronic sign, and then someone's gonna miss all of them and hear their neighbor mention it once. And that's gonna be the thing that gets them to do the thing that you're asking them to.
And that's one of the comments that I think we got, which was pretty much, how do you expect me to find out anything?
Yeah, that was, I read that comment, that was cute.
Yeah, that's it. You're in it for colorful comments.
Yeah.
What I will say, which is super useful, is our Facebook page is useful it says, we're there, we're paying attention. I try to update it, so it doesn't look like, is anybody working on this page? This is from 2 years ago. So I try to keep it current, but what I do is I share it to the Hubbardston People page, and that's where it goes.
The good thing about Instagram and Facebook is that you can have conversations with your constituents rather than just pushing the marketing out.
Mhm.
So it's a two-way, so, you should know what it's called, this is, content marketing and relationship marketing are important for younger people because they want to think that there's a human being responding to them, that they know what they wanna hear, maybe a sense of humor, certainly timely, as you're saying, you can't let a post sit for 5 days until you log in again someday.
No, no. So, no, I think that that's absolutely, a wonderful
Yeah, with the
thought
full-time
and
job.
place to start. I can, on
scheduling
both
comes in handy.
those, cause I think
like that.
both of those are probably, to me anyway, and you can certainly peruse this more. I'll send this out to you online so you can look at it more. But I think I'm more than happy to reach out to, the town administrator, to Nathan, and say about the question about the emails and
I would
how does that
start
work?
it by stating that, you know, based on the survey, the
Right.
feedback is we're not reaching our audience there, and there are other ways that we can reach them that we'd like to explore.
Mhm.
And we have an expert
Right,
who
yeah.
understands it more than we did.
Yeah.
And times have changed since we did Facebook. I mean, there wasn't an Instagram when we did Facebook, so.
There was.
Was there?
Oh, yeah.
There was, okay. I
There
don't
was.
think I was on.
But, and again, Lori's, or, Katie Young's work is just impressively helpful in terms of being kind of the current town bulletin board. The stuff that goes on there is sometimes a little daunting and sometimes entertaining. My favorite one recently was, is anyone missing a chicken? Which I really liked, or where's the bear, and things like that. So, to your question, Bill, and I think that's a great question, is, what surprised me, and that was the one that truly surprised me. There was the kind of not positive about how I get reached. The other questions I think were fairly, straightforward in terms of, and there wasn't a lot of change from where we were at 5 years ago in terms of what people would like. I think sometimes what we're limited by is who applies for grants. I mean, you can't do a dance if a grantee doesn't apply to dance or something like that.
But in the end, we end up with enough variety
Yep,
and
we
enough
try.
to select from,
Mhm.
and a process of elimination, and so we have a pretty good mix. You know, we still get our
Sure.
best bang from the two major events in town,
Mhm.
Fair and Field Day.
Mhm.
But I think we'd all like to see more people attend other events such as those held at the library, and a way of getting the word out.
Right, and I think,
Incumbent.
and I think all the entities in town, you know, the town fair, the Lions Club, the senior center, the library, the school, I think they all do a really great job at trying to bring in programs or involve us and things like that. So I think that's important. The comments at the end are always entertaining. The gentleman who went on about his band and ended up with Hee Haw, not sure quite what that was all about, but as we say where I work, full transparency, I just put it on there, that's what he wrote, and I copied and pasted. So that's all the comments, where things are at. And I don't, does anyone have any sense, we don't have to share this with the Mass Cultural Council, right?
No, you technically have to go out to their website and decide whether you're changing any of our cultural priorities and update the fact that it has been updated. Put today's date or something in the reporting system that says that we've made.
Right, and I think that's the thing in September that I had
That
to
might-
do. I think that was in September that
Okay.
when I had to fill something out that was very brief, and I think that was there.
What are the questions there?
Yeah, and I think it says, did you survey? Or did you gather information on your town's likes, dislikes, and otherwise? But I don't think they say we need to see it.
No,
Well, we
no.
fulfilled our obligation. That's
Yes.
essentially what we've done.
Mhm.
And I get a little bit of insight from it, but I think based on our 2018 versus this survey, we're on the right track.
Mhm. And I can also post this document, the PowerPoint that I created from the SurveyMonkey information. I can post this on the town site, so it's there, so people can access it more or things like that. So I will do that. But in the interest of time, and any other questions that people have, but it's, any other thoughts that people had about it?
Having a highlight, having a couple posts of highlights, interesting findings, popular items that people like, that's always good to publicize. Posting a whole survey, no one's
No,
gonna
I
read the whole
wasn't gonna
thing,
do that,
but just
yeah.
the hits, like the.
Right, yeah, I was gonna kinda do, thank you for taking our survey, hey, this is what we found. What do you guys, and possibly.
Basically what Bill said, what stands out.
Right, right, and people are not shy about making their comments known.
I look forward to reading it.
Right, yeah, there gets to be some entertaining reading.
It certainly was last time.
Oh, yeah. So I will put up little highlights, on our Facebook page, and I will also, post this document on the, town website, just to kind of, sit there. And I will also reach out to, Nathan about, this is what we've learned, what do is there, we would like, would the town be okay with us using the town email opportunity to publicize an event? And/or we currently have an active Facebook page, any concerns about adding an Instagram account as well, which I'm guessing no, but just.
I wouldn't mind getting in a town email address of some kind for the council here. Personally.
Is there not one?
I think we have one.
We do? I thought we
I
were
think
using our
it's-
personal
No,
ones.
actually, you're right, I think.
Cause we had this discussion last year with
Yeah.
those flyers.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true, cause it's not, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
because we were directing it to
yeah.
myself or, I think, Sarah.
I'm on a few of them as well.
Right, yeah,
So
'cause
Granty's
you've got
contacted
some-
me about
Correct,
the
that's right,
bandstand,
yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So I wouldn't mind having a town email that we all have
Yeah.
access to that we can monitor.
It's a good idea.
There might, that might be harder than, I'll ask. You never know, it's a government thing, but I'll ask. I'll put that in as well, cause I do think that's great, because you can't, things go out of date very quickly if they have like my email, Bill's email, personal emails, it doesn't work.
Right.
It's hard,
Transition doesn't work.
yeah, it just doesn't work.
And I don't necessarily wanna put that information out there.
Right.
I've been fairly lucky with it so far, I haven't had a
I
problem.
mean, technically it's public realm, right? My name is
Yeah.
out there, right?
Anyone
So
puts
it's,
2
Right.
seconds of effort.
someone
into
really
it.
wanted to find me, they could, but.
Yes, yeah,
I
no, that's
wonder-
for you to keep.
I wonder if it's possible to get a town like info@hubcultural.com and then have that forward to one or more people. I don't know if you can have multiple forwards off the same account.
Yep.
Not sure, and I don't know like how the select board emails work. They may go all through the secretary to the select board. I don't know how those all work, but I will see what I can find out about those. And I will also send, this document to you guys.
It's just hard on my eyes to read.
Oh,
some of this.
it was hard on my
I
eyes,
can
but.
make it very big on my screen.
Yeah, no, I was disappointed with how it printed. It looked much better on the screen. It would look great up there.
Well, the printed one looks gorgeous. I can print it at home too, so.
Yeah. Yes.
Does this group ever initiate events? Like choose something to bring to town, and then we initiate the publicity and pay for it?
I think Jonathan had mentioned that. Yes.
Yeah, so we
We can.
each one of us could sponsor, if we wanted to, our own program, up to $2,000 of that pot.
Each of us.
Well, as a council,
As a
as a
council.
group, yes.
Right. We
Um,
could say, I know of somebody, we have in the past, we've approached entities in town, like we approached the Green Sisters.
They're wonderful.
They're wonderful. We've approached the Green Sisters. I think we've approached some other people as well and said, would you want to do a program? Like I've been going over to line dancing in Gardner. It's hilarious. It's great. You know, I'm sure, but I guess there might be a competing line dancing group at the Rod and Gun here. But, you know, I was thinking about approaching the teacher there and saying, you know, once or twice a year, do you wanna bring this to Hubbardston for some fun or something like that? So we can certainly talk to people and say, hey, I noticed you do this, would you be interested? But they still, either we have to submit a grant or the person we're talking to submits a grant.
Have we ever had the Green Sisters come here under our own, we have.
Mhm, we did.
I've seen them twice, but not in Hubbardston.
Yeah, they did the fair for us, and last year, we have the Green Sisters offshoot, the Crop Dusters,
Oh,
which is one of the daughters.
all right.
And they were at they were at Field Day last year, and they'll be at Field Day this
So
year.
they have their own PR system
Oh
probably
gosh,
also.
they do.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Which
they
would
do.
take it off our backs.
Oh yeah, they get their own, but
So very often, very well-known performer had their own publicity program and already installed, and their own fans out there ready to come too, yeah?
which I think that Katie Young is gonna be doing some concerts for
Who?
this. Katie Young is gonna be doing some concerts at the bandstand, and two of them.
Two of them, yeah.
We granted her funding to do that, and so she's, you know, working with people to kind of start this process going who may have their own PR and things like that.
I've also been approached by some grantees concerned about doing their own event in their own space, and said, hey, talk with Miss Young there, she's doing a couple bandstand ideas.
Yeah, you did, thank you.
And see if you can fit in, if it's, the environment's appropriate for your
Right,
thing.
yeah, so it comes from all different ways, but the funding ultimately comes through this grant program, through the state.
Okay. Do some performers get paid on the spot too? There's
No.
admission charge, there's never admission charge.
No.
Yeah, they, not generally for our programs, I don't think we've had an admission.
Donations maybe, is that allowed, no?
No,
You
we-
could take donations, I
they
think.
could, right, we've
But
never.
I think they have to be set up in a separate account and accounted separately from the Mass Cultural Council dollars.
Right.
Hmm.
And it might have been what the other account that we recently shut down had. It only had a couple of pennies of interest in it, so we got rid of it. But I think I'm just thinking that it was probably there, cause maybe at some point they did get donations. And I did read somewhere where those dollars have to be kept separate.
Mhm, yeah, so it definitely gets a little, there's a lot of weeds. But-
There is,
But it's pretty easy, you know, we've got some great people on board, we've got some great people as resources who can help get through the weeds. There's some weeds. So, moving on, So, as we've talked about on and off throughout the meeting, we're gonna have changes in our board members. As of, the last day that Lori, Bill, Donna, and myself are officially on this board is June 30th. So, and as far as I know, I would like to take a break. You guys are taking a break?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Lori's taking a break. At some point in time, if we wanted to come back, we could apply to come back, but we technically have to be off for a year.
How long is the term?
Some people's terms are 3 years. Most terms are 3 years, but there's some weirdo terms that are 1 year. For example, Melissa ended up on a 1-year appointment. I think when we first started,
We had 1
We
year.
filled out, yeah.
we were on
Bill
1.
had a longer one than us.
Yeah.
What am
Right.
I?
You know, I'd have to
20
look.
years.
I'd have to
asked.
look. I'm honestly, I'm not sure. And I asked the,
But you can look it up
Would you like
online.
to take
Okay,
this home?
yeah.
Right.
I
Or ask the
don't
town
need
clerk.
that.
right,
Oh,
I
sure.
asked,
'Cause they're
I
so out
asked
of
the
date.
town clerk and
Oh, are
it's,
they very out of date?
it's weird.
They're what?
They're a year old,
So they can't be more than 3
but I'll look
years.
at.
Correct, they can't be more than
Wanna see
3.
if I can subscribe
One
to
of the
that.
things
They also
is,
leave them in the
Melissa's
library, usually
appointment
the current
does
ones,
term out at
just
the
to
end of
take
June.
the freebies.
And so she would need to be
Just they put
reappointed.
the
Even though she
The
just,
publication.
Correct, is she got on one of
those.
those wonky 1-year tickets. So, I can follow up on that. We've made a decision that we're not going to do recruitment at the fair in June. So, in light of housekeeping changes, technically, we should have a voting meeting to bring in to have new officers appointed. And I didn't know, I thought it would be good, even though life starts to get busy, mid to end of June, I thought that that would be important to have a short meeting to go over that again,
agreed.
if people are good with that, okay? You all right there? There
Yeah,
you go.
just a,
We're just gonna make a point that Melissa's not here tonight, so I don't know how we're gonna handle that.
Yes, in terms of her appointment or date?
The vote-in meeting, handing off the torch, correct? You wanna have one
Yes.
more meeting, correct?
Yes, yes.
She's not here tonight, so,
Well, but we do have a quorum,
okay.
so
Right.
we can move to,
Okay.
have another meeting.
Before
And hopefully should be able to make
we
it.
leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm, yes. So all in favor of, having another meeting, in June, but before June 30th? Is everyone in favor of that?
you have a date in mind?
I'm looking right now, is there a time Wednesdays aren't good for you, Jonathan?
Correct.
Okay, and I don't know when, like, the end of, like, is there high school graduation, are there
Mondays now as well, so Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays are the best for me.
Tuesday,
Um,
okay, so
Friday.
probably,
No, wait.
Yeah, pick
right, yeah, I'm not doing it.
It's like the secret day of the week, right?
It really
Don't touch
is,
it.
Any time for me is fine.
okay, great, thank you.
Pick a Tuesday.
I like Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Tuesdays, all right, so if we're looking.
It is coming up at the end of the school year as well, so I just need to be mindful
Right,
of that.
So do you want to,
Oh.
I'm looking at the 13th, the 20th, or the 27th?
I like the 13th.
13th?
Yes, lock that in if you can.
Okay. I
Before
will
things
ask,
change.
the powers that be.
You mean your husband?
No, he doesn't control that.
June
He's-
13th.
June 13th, but I need to check with the people who do the room scheduling. Actually, I can
All you have
look
to
at
do
the
is
thing.
go online and the schedule's there online, you can look ahead. And if there's nothing on June 13th, then you can assume it's okay, but then you call her and let her know.
Right, actually, I found
we-
that this little calendar was very helpful, this paper thing.
Could we
right
pick a
here.
plan B just in case?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll have an English muffin while you're over there.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know.
what's up with that?
Is food over?
I didn't notice those.
Yeah, I know.
Where's the coffee?
Yeah, I know,
Um,
yeah.
Is this June? That's June. I don't know, Board of Health is at 7 o'clock that night.
13th? Yeah.
Yeah, that, on the 13th.
How about the 20th?
There's nothing on the 6th, there's nothing on the 20th?
6 is not good for me, I'll be out of state.
20th for me is
20th?
fine.
20th? 20th, okay. I will ask if we can have Tuesday, June 20th as, and hopeful, it should be fairly short in terms of passing the torch, some updates and things like that, but I think it should be fairly short.
No watches being handed out for those of us who served long terms.
Seven-
Do you want your chair?
7 years.
Yeah, right. Embroidered with the nunsuch apple.
There's a place up in
There are no
Gardner.
applicants for the vacancies. I mean, what happens if there are no applicants?
One of us, we can be brought back, as what's called safe harbor, we did that with Bill. That's a possibility. But people, we've done for a small town entity, we've actually done pretty well with recruiting and keeping people on our board
Okay.
and engaged. We've done pretty well, I
But
think.
have you seen where it's mandated that we have 5 before a vote can take place for the grants?
That
Or is it a
was
quorum?
indicated
Yes.
to me from our.
Mandated 5.
Yes,
From our
we
grant.
have to have 5.
Yeah, we
Okay,
contacted
then-
Braze from Boston and
Yeah,
a couple
okay.
guys from
Now, interestingly, when I was talking to some people who are on the cultural council in West Boylston during that winter walk, they didn't know that.
Yeah.
They thought it was because it is confusing in terms of
Quorum, yeah.
versus.
Quorum would be 3.
Right, versus your full council. And what she told me was, you have to have your full council.
Yeah. So Bob, based on your impression tonight, we'd like you to go out and find,
It already occurred to me.
yeah,
But
That's
nothing,
fine.
nobody comes to mind now.
yeah, okay. And Jonathan and Laura, should you know of anybody else, and we'll do the same. I mean, certainly, we have all good memories of our time here. But I run 2 businesses and a nonprofit, so I'm really very busy.
Tapped out.
Yeah. So come up with anybody else, by all means, that would be a good recommendation. And certainly encouraging Melissa to sign on again
Mhm.
will be important,
Mhm.
because otherwise we're down to 3.
Did
Right.
she
And-
sign off?
Well,
Her term ends at the
Yeah.
end, she's on one of
Oh,
those
she's
1-year
leaving. I
weirdo
thought she
terms.
Did she know it was 1 year?
I think she does, but I'm not sure, I don't
Yeah.
know, I'm not sure. Lori and Donna and I will do the same. If you could kind of do a little blurb about your job, just so whoever ends up taking, whoever ends up, taking that position, if you could just kind of highlight kind of what you do and events of the year and things like that, that would be helpful.
let me be assertive. Jonathan, could you possibly see yourself in that position, being treasurer?
I'm sorry?
Could you possibly see yourself taking over the responsibilities of treasurer?
Yep.
Okay, there we go. So, and Laurie, extremely helpful.
We've worked together, so,
Yeah.
you know,
You
just
already have,
a little
right?
bit, so.
So
we
there you
can
go.
We can do this.
All right? The rest of us are all fill-ins. We're all mutts, the rest
I
of us.
cannot figure myself dealing with money, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you don't want
Okay.
me as your accountant.
Yeah, okay. But, and let me be assertive again. Laura, would you take over the responsibility of handling the Facebook and the Instagram and that type of thing to promote the cultural council in any way possible?
Yes, boss junior.
Okay, there we go, we have that.
Now we just need a
So,
chair.
all we need now is a chairman and a secretary, correct? Okay?
Now, is that official, or is that, I think
No,
we should.
No, I said,
No.
can you foresee?
Got it.
That would
He's
be
just-
something talked about at the next meeting,
Right.
right?
Foreshadowing,
Yeah, but that's,
cool.
Does
Meeting is
anybody-
June 13th, right?
No, we're
20th
gonna look
now.
at the 20th,
Oh, no,
Tuesday.
okay.
We used to have a little more flexibility that we could meet in the senior center, but it was, suggested that we, meet here because it can be videoed.
And,
So-
but I was at a meeting at 5 o'clock and we did that in the senior center.
Oh,
Yeah, so same gal did that.
great.
Bob, do you foresee the possibility of you handling secretarial duties?
No.
Okay, okay, so you'll be the next chairman.
What's the name again?
Yeah, yeah.
You should have said yes to the treasurer.
Funny, yeah. All of a
No,
sudden, all of a sudden he's going to
To be
Tahiti.
frank, I had no good money sense, and I've always despised taking minutes at meetings all my life. I hated doing it whenever I had to do it. I'm sorry,
Yeah, okay.
that's all I am.
No,
I cannot do it.
we'd rather you be honest.
I
and
have
truthful.
done it.
Yeah,
If it comes to it, I'll do it.
yeah, okay.
I just don't like doing it.
I just-
You got the job, man.
But when is the next meeting? Sorry.
20th.
I'm
20th.
hoping June
I'm-
20th,
Yes.
but I will
And
send
it's
out,
softball,
Okay.
so-
I will send
Okay,
out
in my book.
something,
Yeah, you bet, yeah.
something official. This meeting is adjourned.
Yeah.
Did you want this with our stuff? What are we doing with this?
No,
So
that
I
was-
just wanna make one